Ooh, Stuart Pollard reporting there. Also with us is Paul O'Brien from the Association of Public Service Excellence, which works with councils to improve frontline services. Paul, would a bit of extra money go a long way for councils and other public sector services?
I think more than a bit, Kevin, but, you know, we'd certainly settle for some of the money coming back that's been lost to councils as a result of austerity over the last 8 years. You know, those frontline services that local authorities are renowned for with the public, parks, bins, roads, street lighting, etc. Those type of things have taken a real hammering over the last 8 years, and we think there's money available to put back into those services now, and it'd be a very visible sign to the public that austerity was beginning to come to an end.
There are suggestions in the press this morning that there could be 800 million for social care, 100 million for children's services. Now, we did a big investigation into children's services on this programme. So many in the North West in crisis, it doesn't sound like that would go very far.
No.
Well, the LGA reckon the figures at present, the shortfall at present is something like over 2 billion in adults services, adult social care services, and over 2 billion in children's social care services. So whilst any new money is welcome, 800 million is in some senses a drop in the ocean when you consider the extent of the crisis at present in social care.
John, we're told that extra tax receipts mean the Chancellor does have a bit extra money to play with, but crisis across the public sector, everyone's calling out for more money. If the Prime Minister's making unfunded promises on the NHS and you've got the Brexit cloud hanging over.
Yeah, well, you know, I do appreciate the pressure there is on adult and social care. I'm a bit disappointed that I expected during the summer the Green Paper the government were proposing on adult social care and social care generally. And
so that 800 million is shared across the country.
I mean, it's a mere drop in the ocean, that I'm afraid. But I want to see the Green Paper really tackle these problems.
But what about spending in this budget? He's got a chance to outline his spending.
Yeah.
And Jane, across the public sector, everyone's crying out for it. You can't give money to everything, can it?
Well, he needs to consider, if he's going to start reinvesting in public services, you can't invest in one without having a knock-on impact on others. So if there is a welcome reinvestment in mental health services, in public health, in social care, that will begin to assist. But 1 in 10 of the staff who worked in children's services in Liverpool, those jobs have gone. 1 in 10. So it will take a significant, sustained reinvestment to replace all of those people who, in some areas like Liverpool and in Manchester, some of our local authorities in the north of England and in the northwest in particular, carrying some of the greatest need in terms of vulnerability, looking after some really desperately poor
one area
people.
where it's earmarked that he's going to spend money is 30 billion investment in the roads from the vehicle exercise duty. You'd welcome that, wouldn't you? That potholes, people worry about services, but potholes are a real bugbear.
It's all interconnected. Investment in transport means it's better for the economy, therefore local economies grow. That's better for local authorities because they get funding in. But at this moment, right now, there are people who are in desperate need who are not getting help. People who are homeless, people who are mentally ill, who need that help right now, and that's where his focus, in my view, needs to be.
Lots of people say too little too late, even if he does spray a bit of cash.
People forget, you know, when we're talking about Australia, what it was like.
Are you talking about the financial crisis? That was 8 years ago. You've been in charge for 8 years.
I don't care. You know, as a nation, you know, we've heard Labour's plans. Labour's plans would mean sort of 11 billion in interest alone.
All right, let's momentarily stick with your plans, John, because your Chancellor's in charge. I mean, what should he prioritise this week?
We've had to prioritise, and, you know, we've still got, as I said earlier on in the programme, we've got to do it prudently, it's got to be balanced, and, you know, slowly, give more money to some of these things. Some of these things that James
let's bring Paul back in. Paul, what should be the priorities then? If the government does have some extra money, where should it go?
Well, I think it's got to go into those frontline services that are very visible to the public. And of course, there is the crisis in social care funding, but there's lots that local authorities do directly to prevent people getting into social care in the first place. You know, parks, leisure services, all that sort of thing to keep people, stop people being isolated, to keep people mixing for social cohesion, all sorts of things. Roads, you mentioned as well. I think there's something like a 9 billion backlog estimate in pothole repairs. it's going to take a long time of investment to get us back to where we need to be in terms of public sector infrastructure.
But we can
and
only
services.
do this with a strong economy, Paul.
Absolutely,
You
I
know,
agree.
No, we never
the
forget.
economy is number one priority.
I
unless
agree with
that's
that.
right.
We never forget that the economy is really important. But whilst we are in a situation where some people are doing extremely well, thank you very much, whereas others, the most vulnerable in society, are being left behind. The councils carrying the greatest burden of looking after the most vulnerable people. They're the ones that have suffered the most. Cambridge University did a recent study to demonstrate that. We know that's the case. Therefore, the government have to give assistance to those local authorities carrying that great burden, and services like mine.
John, you talk about prudence. Is this a sign that the money isn't really there? The Prime Minister's just getting a bit desperate to end the misery?
Several things I'd like to say. Our high streets are being decimated
there'll be
by the
relief
likes
for
of,
some.
you know, Amazon, Facebook. These massive global corporations, they should be taxed far more than they are now. And that money would help to assist some of our public services. And I think it's scandalous. Our high streets do need assistance. I am sure that the Chancellor will do something in that direction, which will help and assist.
OK, we'll have to leave this there for now. Right, thanks for joining us, Paul.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you.
Now.